Cornelius, Matt, and Joe. Good morning, critters. How are you guys doing today? Doing okay. Yeah, come on. Oh, let's see. Let's get rid of the menu. No, I don't want to do that. Why can't I turn it off? I guess I can't turn it off easily. Yeah. It'll never go anywhere. It was more out of frustration. But he would be one crazy enough to say, hey, let's do that. Maybe he can drive a Cybertruck over it or something. I'm sorry, hang on. Oh, man. I haven't had a good night's sleep in over a month. I'm so goddamn exhausted. What are you gonna do? My eyes. This is something called blepharitis. And it irritates my eyes and I can't go to sleep. I'm actually, it is going to sound weird, but I'm actually tempted to park my car under a tree and go to sleep in the car. Because for some reason, when I'm sitting upright, the eyes don't bother me as much. When I lay down, it makes more of the mucus for some reason. And the mucus irritates the skin around my eyes. And oh, it's horrible. When you see the shit that comes out of my eyes, let me show you. This is disgusting. No, it's not what I wanted. Oh, I can't use a recliner. That doesn't work. I get I have this is what comes out of my eye. That was a little bit of whatever was coming out of here. And that's the mucus stuff. Well, the problem is it looks gooey in the picture here, but when it dries into crystals. and those crystals, I don't think it's an irritant like a chemical irritant. I think it's a physical irritant. I think it's like it's literally like somebody taking a knife and going, cutting up the skin around your eye. Because the crystals form like what looks like little razor blades. You know, real sharp crystals. And I think those crystals are tearing apart the skin around the eye. And I'm constantly cleaning, trying to get rid of the crystals. But if I use too much water, the water begins to dry out the skin around my eyes, and so the skin just cracks. And that's even more painful. I mean, you should see this mucus stuff. That white stuff right there. This white stuff here just keeps on forming in my eyes. That stuff even sometimes makes it hard to see because it forms a scum over the eye, which makes things blurry. And it's amazing how much debris. You can see it here. I'll show you. I have a little microscope that I can put in front of my eye. There you go. You can see there's all kinds of stuff on the eyelashes, at the root of the eyelashes, and that stuff dries out and becomes this crystal-like stuff that just tears my face apart. And it keeps me, you can see all the scum. You can see all the crap in my eyelashes. And that was after I cleaned out my eyes. Yep, I've used warm cold presses, cold compresses. It's gotten to the point now where I have these toothbrushes that are like 10,000 bristle toothbrushes. So it's got these super fine bristles for the toothbrush. It's like super soft because I tend to be aggressive when I brush my teeth. I push too hard. And that's as bad as not brushing your teeth. It tears apart your gums. So this toothbrush is so soft, I'd have to bend the toothbrush in half to push too hard. So it stops me from pushing too hard. I'm thinking about using, dedicating one of those toothbrushes because I got 4 white ones and 1 black one. So I think I'm going to dedicate the black one to cleaning my eye. To using it to clean my eye. Because I can't just use water. I got some baby shampoo. The eye doctor says it's permanent, non-treatable, and I have to live with it for the rest of my life. I can't go to sleep. I go to sleep 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning every day because it just keeps me up all night. My local doctor's trying different things. We're hoping sometimes there's a cause and you can fix the cause. So for the last month, we've been trying a stronger antihistamine. Didn't do a thing. No effect whatsoever. The wound on my leg healed. She gave me a diuretic, which reduced my water retention, and that helped a lot. It healed a lot faster. So the antihistamine didn't work. The problem is every time the doctor tries something, we got to wait a month to see if it works. You got to try it for a few weeks to see if it does anything. So now she has me on one of the possible reasons for blepharitis is a bacterial infection in the eye. So she has me. I'm gonna pick it up today when I go to the pharmacy. I saw them yesterday, so I'll go pick it up today. So she got me an antibiotic, well, an antibacterial. It's a cream I got to put in my. I actually got to put it in my eyelid, which I'm not. I don't know how I'm going to do. I mean, I could do this one, but I don't know how I'm going to do this one. I can't see. I have no vision, so I can't tell when my finger's in the right spot. Here, I can see. I can look in the mirror and I can see, and I can see my finger. But over here, I can't see my finger, so I got to figure out how to do that. So we'll try the antibacterial and see if that helps. But basically, I didn't know this. This is something new to me. But how do I show this to you without stabbing myself in the eye? I can use this. Yeah. So basically, right along the edge of your eye here, there's actually oil glands. I didn't know this. I can see them now because of how inflamed they are on my face. And then, of course, you have the mucus ducts right inside of here. That's where your tears come from. I can't. I don't know if she has the dexterity to be poking around in my eyes. Now, what I'll probably have to do is I'll probably have to set up like my computer like this with the camera, and then make it full screen and use the camera. So yeah, that actually works pretty well. I can use the camera. I can see where. Ooh, I can see it tickles when I touch the eyelashes. So that worked pretty well. That's probably exactly what I'll have to do. And I'm hoping I can use it like the ointment and just do this and rub it in and do that and make it go under. I'm hoping that'll work because that'll be a lot easier because I can do it 4 times a day. We'll see. I'll try anything at this point. I need sleep. I can't go to sleep. Just last night the last time I looked at the clock was 4:30. So I'm guessing within a half an hour of then I fell asleep finally. One good thing is that ibuprofen helps. One of the things ibuprofen does is it constricts blood flow. It's an NSAID. And so it's an anti-inflammatory, but the way it works is by constricting blood flow, so the inflammation goes down. Because that's what this is. This is inflammation. It's a how did the doctor explain it? He said I have rosacea. It's the redness in the cheeks, and that causes the blood vessels in my skin to come to the surface. And the problem is the blood vessels also come to the surface in my eyelids, on the inside. And when the blood vessels come to the surface in your eyelids, well, your eyelid is all slimy and smooth inside. And that's so that it is smooth when you blink. You don't want nothing scratched. It's like a lens cleaning cloth for your camera. So when you take your camera and you clean it with your lens, well, this is the inside of your eyelid. So you need that to be clean, lint-free, debris-free, and super slimy smooth, because everything in your body is slimy and liquidy. Well, when the blood vessels form, that produces protrusions on the inside of your eyelid. And your cornea, your eye, senses the feeling of those protrusions, the blood vessels, even though they're not actually harmful. But it senses it as an obstruction, as something in your eye. And so it causes you to start tearing up, to start releasing mucus to try to flush out. That's why one of the exercises he has me do, which it does actually seem to help a little bit, is to squeeze the eyes real tight and hold that and let it go, and then do it again, squeeze the eyes real tight. Apparently that causes the release of why won't you stop? Apparently that causes the release of tears and mucus, which helps. I can feel it. I can feel my eyes when I do this. My eyes are a little bit wetter, and that helps a tiny bit. I've tried the warm and cold compresses. Doesn't seem to help. The the problem is ibuprofen works. I don't know why, but it works incredibly well. I don't even need a full dose. I only need 2 Advils, 2 ibuprofens. For me, like if I have a headache, I need 4, 800 milligrams. But apparently 400 milligrams is enough, and it lasts for like 2 or 3 days. Um, um, the, I can't even think straight. I got so little sleep, it's hard to think. Um, the But ibuprofen will destroy your kidneys if you use it long term. But I talked to the doctor, and she said that it's not cumulative damage. So it's not like mercury poisoning where a little bit now, a little bit later, it adds up. If you use some Advil and then don't use Advil, there's no damage to the kidneys. It's only continuous high dosage that hurts the kidneys. And she said that taking a small dose of Advil 2 or 3 times a week will not hurt me. She says, we'll keep an eye on the kidneys when we do the blood work, but she said that lower dose won't hurt me. It should only lead to ulcers if you don't take it with food. If you take the Advil with nothing in your stomach, yeah, it can burn a hole through your stomach. But if you're taking a low dose and you take it with food, you should be fine. It shouldn't cause ulcers. Yeah, most of the problems I'm finding out, most of the problems come from people abusing it, taking too much, too often. But she says 2 or 3 times a week should not cause me any problems. Could have been you. How you doing, buddy? um, yeah, like, oh, she's not there. She's not there. Shit, she's still there. Oh my god. So my biggest fear now is that the Advil will become less effective. I guess it depends on whether it's a chemical reaction or a mechanical reaction. I mean, obviously all interactions in your body are chemical, but what I mean is the anti-inflammatory turning something off, or is it tricking something into turning off? If it's tricking something into turning off, then it could become less effective the more you use it. So I'm hoping that's not the case. If it's if it's literally turning off something, then it should remain effective. Yeah. So I'm going to start taking 2 Advils every 3 days. And we'll see how that works. Like, my eyes feel a lot better. I took the Advil like about 30 hours ago, and my eyes feel better today. They're not as, they're still oozing, but my face isn't hurting. And my face hurting is usually what keeps me from going to sleep. So I'm hoping that means I'll get some sleep tonight. I've been avoiding taking the Advil because I don't want to. I wait until I'm desperate. I wait until I cannot go to sleep, and then I take the Advil, because I was trying to stretch out as much time between doses as I could. Because the last thing I need is kidney dialysis because I took too much Advil. But she said every 2 or 3 times a week is fine at that dose. It's not going to hurt me. She said it won't hurt my kidneys, so. Fingers crossed. I'm praying. I haven't even turned on a computer in 2 weeks just because I can't sleep. I'm a zombie every day. Because I still get up at 8, 9 o'clock. No matter what time I go to bed, I still get up at 8, 9 o'clock. Hey, Aaron, how you doing? And then, I'm zombie all day. And, the micro napping, while sitting in a chair or whatever, but you don't really get any kind of rest when you do that. You function, but you can't really do anything. Because you just can't think straight. I don't dare turn on a power tool. God forbid I cut an arm off or something. But I finally got the little switches in. I needed the ones that have 3 in and 6 out. These are those Wago style wire connectors. Yeah, there's a bus bar inside here, and these compress, so you can stick a wire in, and then it snaps down on top of the wire. Can you print a baseball? No, you cannot print a baseball. A baseball is made of cork, leather, and other fabrics, so you can't print that. You could print something that looks like a baseball. So you can print a model of a baseball, but it won't be a baseball. It won't act like a baseball. What the hell? Did this break? I think this one's broken. Yeah, this one's broken. Oh, isn't that cute? Yep. The little arm broke. Well, isn't that lovely? Are they all going to do that? Yeah, that one feels like it might be breaking. It's not locking in place. Wow, okay. So don't play with these. Open them, use them, and be done with them. Because the arms are questionable quality. Well, that depends. If you want a golf ball for like mini golf, you could probably do that. But for actual golf, no, it won't work the same. Damn, that sucks. That's already broken. Huh. I should be able to push on it and get the wire in. The wire holding part didn't break. The lever that lets you pop it open to stick a wire in there broke. Huh. But anyway, those are the wire connectors. I got a 3D model. Yeah, like literally didn't take long to break that. They felt really good. Actually, this part's fine. It's the plastic they use to make the levers. It's too soft. Soft plastic. Okay, I need that block. I might as well switch you guys to the screen so you can see what I'm doing. That'll work. So I need 1, 2, okay, that's close enough for now. Where's my calipers? What did I do with the caliper? I just had them. Here they are. That's right, I was using them to poke my eye. 23. By 33.6. Let's make it 34. total is 41.5. Minus 23, 18.8. Let's make it 19. Why does it gotta put the goddamn thing right in front of where I need it? It's always gotta do that. So 19 by 23.4. So that and that combined will form the box. Bring you down to 0. Center. And join. Okay. Now I need that much space. 22 tall. I'm including enough space for the levers. I'm just modeling the physical volume that this will consume inside the box. Okay. Now these are it's 36 by about 6 millimeters. Okay, so how do I do that? Hey, that's new. This grid here is new. See the way it's showing the tick marks for the rotation? That's new. Okay. That should be as simple as joined. And now I hold down the shift key, select U, and make you 6.1. This way it keeps the same roundness. And we want to be 5.4 tall. 5.4 tall. Now I take this, unseparate it, make you a bit longer, join you again. Actually, there's a way I can center that pretty easily. Is it small enough to get in there? Not too big. .2 millimeters. .2. Here's a neat little trick. Copy this, do that. Hide that. Join that together. Center this and this. There we go. Oh, that's not done right. I didn't realize that wasn't done right. There we go. So if we join that together, not all three, you dumbass, just the bottom board here. Now I can center. Oh, God. I can center these. Now I can split this. Delete that part. Show this part. I have to recenter these like that and join. There. Now it's properly done there. Now what I need, a simple way to do this, drop a box, measure the total width, 36 millimeters. There. Now I just take this one here, duplicate it, flip it, and we align the end of these, and then we do the same thing with these two, but we freeze this in place. It's already good. Then we take all three of these and do that. Now I can delete this, and now I have my bar without distorting the shape, exactly the right size. Okay, this is going to go here. Alright, center it this way. Put a platform work plane here. Bring this to 0. Not what I asked you to do. Why did you switch? 0. There we go. Now what's the actual height of this thing? 13.4. Okay. There. I now have a model of this, and the holes are in the correct spot. Yeah, these are already starting to break. So yeah, piss poor quality. I guess that's why they were so cheap. So that is the little 3 in, 6 out lever lock unit thingy majiggy. Alright, now the good news is these things here, the 433 megahertz switches, which I'm going to need in every box, they're all the same. These came from 2 different people in 2 different packages, and they are exactly the same. That one's loose, that one's not loose. That's weird. That's a slight difference, but yeah, these are all exactly identical, which is nice because then I only have to model it once. Let's duplicate this. Let's see here. So we'll put that over there. Take you, split you apart. don't need you. You are going to be 47. No, that's 47. 47 by 42, 41.2. Oh, 41. Okay, and 22.5 tall. Why? Why? Now with this, we are going to add a radius, because this box has a radius. And then here's the trick. The bottom doesn't. So we extend the bottom down and chop it off. Like that. And now we have our flat-bottomed, but all the other surfaces are rounded box. I finally have the parts to try to off-grid the fans and lights. So I got the wire connector and I got the 433 megahertz switch, and I'm going to need a set of these at each location. So I have to design an electrical box that'll hold all these, and so I need to model these first so I know how big to make the electrical box. Okay. So how big is this? 6.9. That's pretty close. Oh, don't do this. Behave. 6.9. How big is the opening? Is it the same 3.2? Probably not. Actually, it's pretty close. It's about 3.5. I'm satisfied that's close enough. 3.5 is close enough. Okay. Now how big is this? It is 66.5. So I need to split this. $66.5. Alrighty. So this one is going to go here. This one is going to go here. Okay. And we will split this again, extend this one over to here, and then join it again. And that gets me the exact size I need for the box. This is going to go in here somewhere. That is not that tall though. It is 2.5. 2.5. And we need to put a work plane here, and then put a box here, and then put that work plane here, and then there we go. So that's going to be the back. I measure that? That's annoying. I just need to be close. $17.6. I guess that's the right distance from there. Okay. Now we need to make some, oh wait a minute, let's center these. Like that. So now we have the basic box. Let's make that out of lavender. Now I need this, I need that, and I need that. So this is going to be $9 millimeters. Let's go 2 millimeters deep. This is going to be 21.5 by 6.5. 6.4 by 21.5. Did I get that right? Yes. And that will go down 2. And that is going to be 4.2 by 10. Okay, so will that work? Can I do a negative? Yes, I can. Negative 1, 0 by, what was that again? 4.2? Yeah. Come on. Oh. Oh, it's doing the... not what I want. Which edge is it? Wrong edge. It's not the edge I want. So it's 6.4, 4.2, 6.6, 10.6. Negative 10.6. That's wrong. Negative 4.2. I thought it was adding the 2 dimensions, but apparently it's not. That does not look right. In fact, that's wrong. I know that's wrong. That's way over. It's way too big. Huh? 10.6. Why is it doing that? Was that a relative motion? Oh, it is. That's relative. I'm an idiot. There we go. Okay. Let's see. Put this back here. We're building an electrical box to hold this unit. 3.2, so 9, 12.2. Why? Okay, that is 14. Did I do that wrong? Yes, I did. So 9, 23.2. Negative 23.2. That goes there. Put that there. So 9 plus 3.4. 12.4. Negative 12.4. That is the correct position for that. Okay. This one on the front here, I gotta do that box now. There's a link in the description. They're $8 for 10 of them. They were actually cheaper than Aliexpress. That's for these things. Although one broke already, so I don't know what the quality's like. 7.2. .2. Oh, I never did those yet. I thought I did that already. I did that already. How'd that get reset? I guess I didn't do that one. Okay. $4.3. I thought I did that already. 22. Okay. How far from the left? 10. Oh, it lines up perfectly with that one, which means I can just do this. Yeah. Lick it. 22. Okay, that. Might as well do the other one too. I'm pretty sure that's the LED. So we are now talking super tiny. Let's call it 1.5. FTC is suing Amazon for monopolistic practice. Good luck with that. Okay. It is 7.3 from the edge. Let's see here. $7.3, 8.8. I hate when they overlap and like how the fuck are you supposed to tell the difference? Why overlap them? Why? What's the reason behind overlapping the measurements? Okay. 7.3, 1.5 is 8.8. Negative 8.8. And then it is... Oh. It's the same from there? It is. Well, that's interesting. Negative 8.8. Okay. There, that is every opening, shape, and whatnot in the unit. So now I can just join all these together. And there you go. There is everything you need. So this is your junction box, your screws for your junction box. This is where you insert the wires. This is your screw downs. This is the button you have to press to sync it with the remote. And this is the little LED. So that is a model of the 433 megahertz remote module. And then this is a model of the 3-in, 6-out Wago style wire connector. Yeah, the problem with this is this plastic is too soft. If they would have made these levers out of this plastic, it'd be fine. But that plastic there is way too soft. So don't play with them, just install them. I can see that on here. Media Messenger. I'll wait for it on Messenger. If they would have just made them out of the same gray plastic, it would have been fine. It's just that it's a softer plastic, and there's not much plastic there. So you do that a couple times, it just breaks it. But if they would have just made it out of this harder plastic, it would have been fine. But because they chose to use this really soft plastic, I guess to get the colors. Oh, there's something. There it is. Let's see, what are they saying? Go the fuck away. I'll just not read it if I have to do anything. Bastard. You bastard. Is it interfering somehow? There it is. Oh, it covers it up. You sneaky fuck. So that's how you're going to play it, huh? Let me show you what I think of you. What the fuck is going on? Oh, it won't let me stop the loading. Look at that. It prevents me from stopping the page from loading. There it goes. Got it. As I think of your... Oh, it popped up anyway, you sneaky fucker. So now I have to go to inspect. Let's see. Let's just find the whole thing. There it is. This thing right here. And we will delete. Oh, I can't delete that? Why can't I delete that? Huh? Oh, it's the whole thing. What? Oh. It's an iframe. Oh, that is so weird. There. Hey, ad. Fuck you. Oh, I can't scroll. What the hell? Can I select everything? Ha ha! Got it. Screw you. I hate that shit. Well, no shit, FTC. That's what happens when a company gets this big. Yeah, see, this is where it got nasty. Is the fees. Now this is anti-competitive. This is illegal. They're not allowed to do this. But the problem is they do it slyly. They're super. Yeah, they've been jacking up their fees, and it's crazy. Amazon's been getting so greedy, as if the billions they're making isn't enough. Hey, Mike, how you doing? Nothing but absolute abject greed, man. Just flat out, straight up greed. Okay, so now how do these work? Okay. Probably the easiest way to do this would be to simply have a pigtail come out of this and into this. Input, output. Okay, so the ground doesn't actually go through the ground, doesn't go through the switch. Just live and neutral. So I'm going to want to make blue live and yellow neutral and orange ground, because then they'll line right up with each other. I just have a little pigtail go right from this to this, and then out of here, out to whatever side I need to in order to go to the device. It would actually probably be easier to do this. Something like that. Because I can just make a 90-degree pigtail to go into there. Actually, like this. Yeah, this way I have input. I go right from here to input, and then output can come out and go wherever I need it. So I'm going to want to set them up like this. So have this sit like that. Have this sit like this. So I'm going to make the box bigger than it needs to be, so I can have room for, like, for example, if I need 2 of these, or probably, nah, I got to think about how I want to do that. Is there any location where I would need 2? Technically no, but like, for example, the kitchen could use 4. The light above the table, the fan above the table, and the light above the kitchen sink, 3. So would it be easier to make a custom box with 3 of these in it, or just print 3 of these? be easier. I'll have to think about that. But for everything else, it's going to be singles. So this one room doesn't need anything. It just needs one of these because this has its own remote control. And the one in the living room, same thing. It only needs one of these. So some of the boxes will only have one of these. And some of the boxes will have one of these and one of these. So I need 3 boxes. I didn't realize I was going to have so many. That's alright. It's not a big deal. So, for example, let's do the small box first. So a box is only going to need one of these. So let's put you down here and you down here. And then we will duplicate this. Hey, Drone Shots. Hey, Mike, how you doing? Silent Rush, how are you doing? Okay, so let's make a basic box. Do I want to build the holes into the box? Or do I want to just drill the holes in the box? If I do 0.4 millimeter layers, the 1.6, 1.6. So we want a little bit of space to work with. Ooh, that's annoying. Let's see, how do we want to do this? No, this isn't COVID related. This is something else. It's something, what do you call it? Blepharitis, the doctor called it. That it's screwing with my eyes. What did I got some more of the basmati rice that I like, but now I'm probably not going to buy any more of that brand because they stopped putting the rice in canvas bags, and now they have a plastic bag that looks like canvas. It's like, no, I want the canvas bag because canvas resists mice. Plastic doesn't resist mice. A plastic bag a mouse will chew through in freaking 2 minutes. But the canvas bag is tough for a mouse to chew through. That's one of the reasons why we bought that rice, was because it was in a canvas bag. Matter of fact, that reminds me, I gotta tell them that. Oh, look at this. I got 4 pair of my Crocs Bistro shoes for less than $21. This one's still on sale for $21. This is the Bistro ones that have the insert in the bottom. They hold up a whole lot longer. But they also had a couple other designs that are gone now. They're not even here anymore. Yeah, they're just gone. So I got 4 pair. Oh yeah, lots of mice. So now I have a year's worth of shoes. So I am super stoked about that. I've got at least maybe these I can usually get 4 months out of a pair of these because of that plastic insert in the bottom. So that's almost a year and a half. A little over a year and a half. No, year and a half. About a year and a half I won't have to worry about shoes. So I am super, super stoked about that. If I have enough before this goes away, I'm going to try to grab one more pair if I can. But I want to contact the rice people and tell them they suck. I got the maple spam. I'm super happy about that. There it is. Let's see. Oh, it's shipped and sold by Amazon. I should be able to leave a review. Well, I won't give it a 1 star because it is good rice. Yeah, it's burlap. There we go. Watch them reject the review. They'll find some reason to reject the review. Well, the rice is still good, so a 1 star is not valid. It is still good rice. But that burlap sack was a big selling point. I mean, maybe it's just luck, but I've never had mice in the burlap sack. Okay. Is that enough room to work with? I think so. Probably want to make it bigger just to... Why can't I pick that? What's going on here? Why? It's selecting them all. No, now... Yes, y'all kind of selecting everything? Why can't I select things? Why did I have to move it to get the boxes to appear? That's weird. Okay. Let's go 120. That's only 4 inches. No, let's go 100 is 4 inches by 75. So 4 by 3 roughly. Oh! No, I have not made that video yet. I'm gonna make a dedicated video for that. Because these boxes are going to be very customized for what I need. And I'm going to make his a more generic one. I'm going to make it 50 millimeters tall. No, that's too tall. 35. I think 30 will do. Yeah, 30 will do. Okay. Now I need to cut out on the inside. How do I want to do that? Let's see, how do I want to do that? See, I want to make mine toolless. That might not be the best way to go, though. And I think I need to raise that up a little more because I would like some room for threads. Hey Dean, how you doing? Well, you know, that actually makes sense as Amazon is squeezing them more and more. How high do I want to make this? 3 millimeters, 4 millimeters. Let's go 5 millimeters. Okay. All right. Now let's duplicate this. Raise it 5 millimeters. And then we need to shrink it. I would like a 1.2 millimeter thick wall, so I can use the 1.2 millimeter nozzle, maybe? No, I don't need to. But if I'm doing 0.6, and I make it 2 wall, that's 2.4 millimeters, or 4.8 millimeters less on each dimension, so 5 millimeters less. So, 70 by 95. And let's center everything. I hate that color so much because it shows no details. It's such a horrible color. Let's give it a radius. I better go a little smaller. Let's go 92 by 87. Why did I do that? I took off 3 more, so 67. And center. Because sometimes when you have a radius on the outside, not the inside, you chop it, and it will mess up your box. Now we need to do the same thing we did before. We need to extend the bottom a little bit so we can have a flat bottom. Create a box, flip the box that way, and join it. This way we have a nice radiused box, but I also don't really want a radius on this top part here. I only want a radius on the outside. Let's go and hide this, create this, extend the box, and chop off. Oh, I better redo that. I saw that tilt. I'm not a fan of that new grab feature, but I understand why they have it. Join, show everything, there we go. Now I can take this and join it with this. Now we have a box. So what I did there is I figured out how thick do I want the bottom. So you basically do a box in a box. So you create a box, okay? And let's make it something even. So let's go, 45 by 75, okay? So we create a box, figure out how big you want the box. Let's go 35 tall. Now, this is the outside dimensions of the box. What you do now is you have to create the inside. So to create the inside, obviously the box has to be big enough to hold whatever you're going to hold, but you also need to make sure you have sufficient wall thickness. So I would like the wall to be at least 3 perimeters thick overall with a 0.6 millimeter nozzle. I'm sorry, 4. 4 walls thick with a 0.6 millimeter nozzle. So 6 times 4 is 24, so 2.4 millimeters thick, which means I'm going to go at least 2.5 millimeters thick, because if you go exactly, sometimes it'll get rid of a wall and you end up with jiggles, and that takes longer to print. There's no reason to waste that time. So always add a little bit. So 2.5. Now, of course, you have 2 walls, so that's times 2, so that's 5 millimeters. So the interior needs to be 5 millimeters smaller in both dimensions. I'm going to make it 6 millimeters smaller in both dimensions because I want to, 7 millimeters, because I want to, I want to radius the outside of the box. Now you could just radius your interior, that would work as well, and then you can go exact. So let's, there's a reason I didn't radius it, but let's do it the other way. So let's add a radius. Make it a solid color so you can see it. So does that radius look nice? Is it too much? You can adjust this until you get just a little bit of radius, just so it's not a straight up square box. Okay. Now the tricky thing here is you want to have a flat top and bottom. Now you can have a radius top and bottom, but a flat top and bottom is going to be easier to print and stronger. So I'm going to do a flat top and bottom. So what you do is you put a cut cube down, and then you invert it. You grab this and you just invert it like that, and then you put a cube on top and make it as big as the box. Okay? See there, see the difference there? The difference from here to here is your radius. And that can be hard to print, and it can also make your box weak. So now I'm going to extend the box until the sides are fully inside. And extend the box until the sides are fully inside. And then chop it. Join it together. Now I have flat top, flat bottom, 90-degree sides, but I have radiused corners. It just looks nicer. Now I take this box and I duplicate it, turn it into a hole, and how thick do I want the bottom? Well, if you're going to use like sticky tape, you can use 4 or 5 layers. I want to screw them in. So I'm going to make my bottom 5 millimeters thick so that there's some meat in the plastic for screws to screw into. I mean, you're just holding little things like this. It doesn't need to be super thick. 5 millimeters should be enough plastic to do that. I've dabbled with Fusion 360, but not that much. Now since we're using a radius cutout, we don't have to add the extra millimeter. So we know we need 5 millimeters. So we change this to 40, and we change this to 70. Then we center it. No, did not want to do that. Center it here and here. Now we have the box inside here lifted up 5 millimeters. So we'll have a 5 millimeter thick bottom. And we have it 5 millimeters from each side. Now something else you're going to do real quick. We're going to duplicate this box. Duplicate. We're going to put it over here. And we're going to make a lid. The lid doesn't need to be 5 millimeters thick. Let's make it 2 millimeters thick. Now we join this together. And there we go. We now have a box. And we have a lid. But we need to join them together somehow. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a work plane here. I'm going to lift this up to 0. Take off the work plane, put this back over here, change it to a different color. Oh, cool. And then, there we go. Now we have a box with a lid. Now we need to screw that lid down. A box this small doesn't need that much to hold it in there. So we don't have to go crazy with, I can also, if there's a little trick in Tinkercad, any color can be made transparent, select it, and then press T. And now the lid is transparent. So we can see we have a lid here. Okay. So now we need to put a way to screw this box into the unit. So we're going to hide the lid, and we're going to just drop a cylinder. Let's see here. I'm going to sink the cylinder in a little bit to make sure it is completely fused with the base. Now, how big do I want to make it? I'm probably going to use for this, I'm probably going to use a 2 or 3 millimeter bolt. So let's make this 5 by 5. So if we can use up to an M4, but an M3 would be pretty good for something like this. So now we just get it in position, probably sink it halfway in, something like that. And let's align it on center like that. Now this box is 35, and we sank, let's see, how big did we do that? Did we do that? We're at 4. So we got to subtract 5 for the bottom, so it's 30. But I need 31 because I sank it in 1 millimeter. There we go. Now an easy way to handle this alignment, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. 6 by 6. And we're going to align this way and this way. Not what I want you to do. And then we Control D to duplicate this. And then we do another alignment, select that, align, freeze that in place, put it here. There we go. We now have our 2 points where we're going to put a screw. So let's say we're going to use an M3, which would be more than enough for this. You know, a small wood screw or an M3 or something like that. So we bring up that. Maximize the sides again. Go away. I told you to turn off. That's annoying. So we go 3 by 3. Why can't I select that? Okay. Take this. Select this. Join. Not join. Align. Shift. Select this to hold it in place. Put you there. Let's go down 6. There it is. -6 is plenty. Duplicate. Select this one. Align. Select this one. Center. There. Now we have our 2 screw holes. We are going to grab those screw holes and join them as one unit because we need to duplicate them. Control D. Bring back this. Now wait a minute. Let's hide that again. Now we're also going to join these 2 pieces here. The reason we're going to join them is so that we can use align commands. So now we grab everything and do another align. We are aligned there. We are aligned there. We're good. We're still aligned. Well, that's amazing. They're still aligned. Okay. So now what we do is we select the screw holes and the lid, and we join them. And then we select our second set of screw holes and the rest of the box, and we join them. And there you go. You now have a simple box, nice radius corners. You have a lid with 2 3mm holes, and you have 2 3mm holes inside of your box here. Now if you really want to clean this up a little bit, you can put a box down on top of here like that, and then you can extend this a little bit. 35.2, and then chop it off just to clean up the surfaces. See, now that top surface is nice and clean. There's no line there. That hole only goes down 6mm because you can go down deeper if you want. But 2 holes in a box like this is more than enough. Now you can do the same thing by moving this here to the corners. So for example, let's duplicate this. This is actually a nice little box. I'll keep that. So for example, let's get this all aligned again. So let's take this, deconstruct, get rid of the holes that we made. Okay, and let's get rid of the lid. We don't need to see it right now. Take this, deconstruct. Get rid of that for now. Take this, deconstruct. There we go. So now what we can do is we can take this and let's join it together. We're going to take it apart again later, but for now we need to join it. Take this and align it with the corner. So there we go. Now that doesn't work precisely because of the radius of the box is different than the radius of the circle. So let's just, that's not going to work. Select that. We could just leave that. That actually, it's not too bad. But I'm going to move it up. So let's do that. Too much. There we go. That works for me. Now we take our little orange step, Control D it, and we want to align it with this edge. Let's do the same thing. Move it in just so it disappears. There we go. Now we take this, deconstruct. Take this one, deconstruct. So that we get our separate pieces back. We take the 2 orange ones, join them together. We take our 2 sets of holes here. We join them together. We duplicate them. And now we take a set of holes. Let's bring the box back first. There we go. We don't need this, but all of this needs to be aligned. We are still aligned. We select the box, we select the holes, we cut. Now the box has holes. We select everything else except the box, join them together, and there we go. Now we have 4 corner holes on our box. We bring back our little cut tool thing that we're going to use to chop the top. Makes it nice and clean. Now we have a lid with 4 holes, and we have a box with the 4 holes to accept the screws. So I would use an M3x5, or an M3, no, actually 6 plus, what is this, 2 millimeters? So we could do 8, so yeah, M3x5. An M3x5 screw will thread right into this plastic, and this lid would then thread right on top of that box like that. Super easy, super simple, nothing complex. But that's how I make my little boxes. Now you can't scale this. If you scale this, you're going to change the size of the holes. Which is fine as long as you separate the holes from the rest of the box, so that you can scale it without messing it up. Unless, of course, you want to do it in multiples. So, for example, the screws are M3, so I could just scale this up by 2 times, and now it'll be M6. But usually you're going to do what I did here. You're going to make a custom box, and you're going to scale that box for what you need. Now I'm going to do something a little different for my box. I'm going to save these because they're kind of nice. Oh. I'm going to save them boxes. Accurate enough for tight tolerances? What do you mean? And if you 3D print a 3mm hole, an M3 screw will self-tap right into it. If it doesn't, change the size of the hole you're making. But a 3mm hole should self-tap for a M3 machine screw, like what your 3D printer uses. You could actually 3D print threads, but that's going to take an incredible amount of time, and it will not increase strength. If you need a tighter fit, just make the hole a little smaller. So make the hole, instead of a 3mm hole, do a 2.9mm hole. The amount you have to make it smaller is smaller the smaller you go. So like an M8, I might make it 0.2mm smaller. But that'll be more than enough for there to be plastic for it to thread itself into. I mean, this is not undergoing any sort of load. I've never used Blender. Fusion has a very high learning curve, but it's also very powerful. It's one of the most powerful CAD programs out there, but you are limited by their licensing. Absolutely. Tinkercad is absolutely good enough to take a product to market. It depends on the product. For a little box like this, yes. I mean, you're not going to tell the difference between the two. What makes the difference is that, okay, here's where the difference comes into play. Tinkercad is WYSIWYG. That's what you see is what you get. You are manipulating, with Tinkercad, you are not designing blueprints and then extruding those blueprints into 3D. That's what Fusion does. That's what SolidWorks does. Tinkercad is object-oriented. You're manipulating objects. That's why the learning curve is so low, because it's intuitive. You understand what you're doing. You're not saying, draw me a blueprint, now extrude this and extrude that and cut this and boolean this. You're just taking a box and saying, make the box that big. Give me a hole right here. Poke. and there's a hole right there. That makes it very easy to learn. That makes it very easy to get into. But it does have consequences. As you can see, I had to duplicate this model and then back up a few steps in order to make a new model with the 4 holes. The reason programs like Fusion and stuff like that are blueprint based, where you make 2D drawings that you then give instructions to extrude, is that makes the model that you're making parametric. And what that means is you can define constraints. So I could constrain this hole to 3 millimeters. And then I can scale that box to however big or however small I want, and those holes will stay 3 millimeters. So I can say make the box 100 millimeters wide, and by constraining the hole to 3 millimeters and by constraining the distance of that hole from each of these walls, I can now tell it, make the box this big, make the box this big, make the box this big. And all those holes will be the right size and they'll stay where they're supposed to stay. So editing the model later is a lot easier. Making iterative changes to the model is a lot easier. You do a lot more work up front. It's a tremendous amount of work up front. But by doing that work up front, it's a whole lot easier for you to manipulate, edit, revise, and iterate that model in the future. Now, a model like this is pretty simple to update and iterate. But when you start getting into truly complex models, like models that would be borderline difficult to impossible to do in Tinkercad, it gets so much easier. And then, of course, things like making fillets and chamfers are a pain in the ass in Tinkercad because I have to do it by model manipulation. While in Fusion, you just click and say, okay, give me a chamfer. And it just does it to all the corners. So the learning curve is a lot higher, but the power is also a lot higher. What you can do with the models is dramatically increased. But again, there's that learning curve. Now, because I'm just doing a simple, a little electrical box, I don't need that complexity. By the time I got done modeling this in Fusion, I'd be finished printing it in Tinkercad. Because I just don't need that kind of complexity. And I also enjoy the object-based interaction. Exactly. So that's why when you saw me move these to the corner, I had to separate them from the model first. So you have to think ahead when you want to do something in Tinkercad. You've got to use your head, and you've got to... That is not aligned. You have to think ahead and think about what you want to do. See, I can't change the shape of this lid because now it's not going to match up with the box anymore. So I'd have to change it together. I have to grab both of them and change it together. But now those holes aren't M3 anymore. You see? So it's easier in one way, harder in another way. It's easier to make basic things. If you just want to make something very simple and basic, and you don't need to add that much complexity, Tinkercad is wonderful. But as soon as you want to start doing iterations, revisions, and stuff like that, Tinkercad becomes very cumbersome. Now, for a simple shape, it's no big deal. But when you start having, multiple parts with holes, and those holes have to line up, and things have to fit inside of it, the complexity goes up. It's doable in Tinkercad, but you have to do more thinking. So, for example, if I were going to resize this box, I would not do that. I would first duplicate the box. Accidentally unselected. And then I would make a copy of it. And I would resize this box instead of resizing this one. So think of that as my parametric split there. I have to do it manually. Yeah, constraints is, first you have to define dimensions. You're telling it how big it is. Constraints is saying, I want this to always be this. So for example, if I constrained this hole to 3 millimeters, now no matter how big or small, no matter what I do to manipulate this box, that hole will stay 3 millimeters. That's a constraint. And it's done correctly, and it can be a pain in the ass because you got to figure out what do you have to constrain to get what you want. So for example, with this box here, I would have to constrain the diameter of the hole. I would have to constrain the depth of the hole. I would also have to constrain the distance from the edge of this hole to this wall, because otherwise it's going to move. By doing that, I can now tell the software to make this box any size I want. I could also, theoretically, you could also constrain this arc here. So this thickness will be consistent. And you could constrain the thickness here. So right now, if I make this box bigger, I'm also making this wall thicker. See how the wall's getting thicker? In a program like Fusion, you could apply constraints to all of that. So you could apply constraints to this and then scale the living hell out of this box. You can make a 4-foot by 3-foot box, and that'll still be a 3 millimeter hole. It'll still be 6 millimeters deep, and it'll still be 7 millimeters from the edge. So you'd have, and the walls would still be 5 millimeters thick, or 2.4 millimeters thick. You would have all of those constraints built in, so your box would be the same. It would just be larger, but it would still have the 2.5 millimeter wall. It would still have the 3 millimeter screw holes that are 6 millimeter deep, that are tangent with the corners. All of those would stay the same. While in mine, none of those would stay the same. So to do that with mine, here's what I would have to do. Let's see here. I actually couldn't even do that with the wall thickness. There's no way to do that with the wall thickness. I'd have to figure out a way to do that manually. So first thing we're going to do is undo this. And we're going to delete these since we're not going to need them anymore. So we still have our lid. We take this, we separate it. I'm going to hide that so I can use it later. Take this, separate this. Take this, separate that. Take this, separate that. Take the box, get rid of these. And now I have, oh, I didn't want to do that. I need these two. Come on, come on. Gotta wait for it to figure out what it's doing. Come on, come on, come on. Will it let me do that? Yes, it will. Okay. And then separate that. Now I can delete these. Nope. Delete. And delete. And delete. So now I have my corner here, and I have my hole. What I can do is I can make this a join, just so that that hole doesn't shift relative to the part. Now what I can do is I can join this corner to corner. So I can say, okay, align me there and align me there. Okay, so now I have my corner here. These technically overlap, but that's okay. I can leave that. I mean, let's see what happens when I join that. That's technically not right. Now the reason this is not right is because I use the built-in tool to radius that box. If I wanted to make this proper, I'd have to make my own radius. And I would do that by chopping off the corner of the box and using this to form the radius. So, for example, an easy way to do that, there isn't. I'd have to start over with my box, which I could do, but for now, let's assume these radiuses are the same and they're close enough. So now what I would do is, let's say I wanted to scale this box only on X and Y. I would move this off to here like that. I would take this box, scale it however I want. So let's say I want the box to be, actually if I make the box a square, it'll work. So let's go 88 by 88. So now I want an 88 by 88 millimeter box. But I still want to be able to use the, now why are they a different size? That's weird. Now I can fix that too by simply unselecting that. So this is 88 by 88. Let's make this, yeah, it's different, weird. Let's see, make it 6, let's go 80 by 80, 80 by 80. Alright, let's center it up. Rejoin it. So now I have my 88 by 88 box. Now what I do is I bring this in here like this, which I probably don't even need, as you can see here, but I need a little bit. And we corner it. So align that corner, and we get this. That works perfectly. I'm totally happy with that. But let's add 4 millimeters to length. Come on. Stop messing with me. 55.8. There we go. So now I have my corner. Okay, you see what I'm doing here? Now what I can do is, this also needs to be changed to 88 by 88. 88 by 88. So basically I'm doing my parametric myself. So now I have my basic box, and I also have my corner. So now I can scale this box to anything I want and keep this corner separate. When I get my box the size that I want, I can then bring in my corners. And what I can do is I can Control D and put a, I don't want to do that, come on. Do that, Control D, Control D, Control D. So now I have a few of these that I can put on my corners. There we go. So we take this one and we align it corner to corner. Then we take these two, align it, hold down the Shift key, select this, freeze the box in place, corner to corner. We do the same thing with this one. Align, freeze, corner to corner. Align with this, freeze, corner to corner. So now I have my 4 corners in place. I'm going to get rid of this box. I'm going to hide it for now, because now I need to bring my holes back. Now that I have the posts in the place where they need to be, select them all, ungroup, and now I have my 4 posts. So now I'm going to grab my 4 posts, I'm going to join them together, and I'm going to duplicate them. Exactly, that's why Tinkercad works so well, because you can just grab stuff. Now I'm going to hide these, because I need to join these 4 together. Join. Now bring everything back. Okay. This is going to have to be resized to be as big as the box, and I'm going to hide it again. Now I'm going to take all of this. Now the reason I joined the 4 pieces together was so that they'll center. If you don't join them together, they're all going to go to the middle. So now I can grab everything. I can center it. Now what I do is I grab the top, and I grab one set of clear posts. Remember, we made 2. So now I have that joined together. So there's my lid with the 4 holes. Now I can grab this, join it together. Now I have my post with 4 corners. Bring back my little trim cube. Join that. That cleans up my top and makes it nice and clean. There you go. Now I have a 4-post box that's 88 by 88 with a lid that also aligns. So I basically made it parametric myself. Now, as you can see, that didn't take long because this was simple. Okay, in Fusion, I would select the 2D drawing of this box, change it to 88 by 88, and if I did all my constraints right, done. I now have an 88 by 88 box, and everything is exactly where it's supposed to be, perfectly done. I need a 120 by 120 box. Select the 2D drawing for the box. Change the dimensions, 120 by 120. Click execute all of the rest of the parametric processes, and boom, the box becomes 120 by 120, and all the holes are where they're supposed to be, all the corners are where they're supposed to be, and all the holes are the correct dimensions. That's the power of something like Fusion 360 or SolidWorks or 123 CAD. That's the power of software like that. But it's not so easy for the software to know that. You have to tell it that. And you tell it that by defining dimensions and constraints. So it's a lot more work up front. It's a whole lot more work up front. But once you do that work, manipulating and altering it in the future becomes so much easier. I did something similar here by creating tools. So that little orange tube, that was my tool that I used. So think of that as my constraint. And with Tinkercad, because it's object-oriented, I had to do that manually. I had to do that myself. Now for my box, I'm actually going to do something a little different. Because I don't want to be standing on top of a ladder trying to screw in and unscrew screws. Screw that noise, so to speak. Well, the problem is if you add all that complexity to Tinkercad, you're just making Tinkercad Fusion. You can't add those kinds of constraints to Tinkercad because you don't have a blueprint. You have an object. So think of it as like a carver making something out of wood or granite, or a pottery maker making a pot. How do you add constraints to that? You can't. If you want to change it, you got to start over. So when you add that kind of stuff to Tinkercad, what you're saying is, make me Fusion 360. Because the parts that allow Tinkercad to be object-oriented is what prevents you from being able to have constraints and definitions. Because once you start adding constraints and definitions, now you're no longer dealing with an object. You're dealing with a blueprint now. You can't really have both. By the time you tried to add that kind of stuff to Tinkercad, you have Fusion. And you have the complexity of Fusion. Because how else would you define the constraints? How does the software know what is or isn't a constraint? Well, you do that with a blueprint. You do that with the drawing. Which means you're no longer working with objects now. You're working with drawings. Now, you could, in theory, one day have AI that could figure out what the drawing... It could reverse engineer the drawing based on your object, but that gets really wiki really quick. Because now you're asking software to guess. And it's probably going to get it wrong. Now, the cool thing is there are other things I can do here. So, for example, I want this to sit in here like that. Now, with this box, I have to figure out, is it going to be easier to pre-put the holes in here? Or should I just drill the holes? I'm going to put the holes in. So, let's see. 14-2 Romex dimensions. .3 360 mil by 162 mil? What the hell does that mean? Is that 36 by 16? What the hell is a mil? See, I have this. How big is it? So how big is that? Like, what's that dimension right there? I want to guess that's 30. Well, what happens if I tell it to convert that? .368 mil to millimeters. Oh, it's not even close. Okay, so it's 10 millimeters by 4 millimeters. So 10 by 4. Let's do 11 by 5. Wait a minute. 368 was 9.3, so 10's fine. So let's do a 10 by 5. What was it, 162, I think the other dimension was? 4. 162. 4.1. So let's do a 10 by 5 hole. Okay, this is actually going to be pretty easy. We're going to put a block in here, and we're going to make that block 5 millimeters tall by 10 millimeters wide. Okay, now that is a big enough hole to allow entry of the Romex wire. So we're going to select both of those, align, shift, select this to freeze it in place, center it. Alright, so that is the entry hole for the Romex to come in. I think I'm going to make that bigger. Let's go 11, and let's go 5.5. It just doesn't feel like that's big enough. Okay, so that will allow entry of the Romex there. Now I'm going to need an exit path. So Control D, Shift Select, drag it over here. I'm also going to need exits out the side. I think I'm going to make it universal. Oop, that probably put it down here, yep. And let's rotate 90 degrees. And we can just do this. I can do the same thing with this. I can just do this. Now, let's take both of these and lift them up 5.1 so they don't put marks in the bottom of our unit there. So that, I'm probably going to want this to be this way a little more. So now the wire can come in. The wire will be split into two, and then the wire will go back out. So when you split it in two, one set is going to go left or right, depending on where the thing is. So I'm probably going to want to move this a little further down, I think. Yeah. So I have more room to bend the wire here. So this is going to get duplicated. So you can see you'll have 3 in. The wire will come in. The wire will get duplicated out here. One set will go straight back out again, out this hole, to go to the next box. And then one set will go either left or right, depending on where the appliance is, to go into the unit. However, for something like what I'm doing here, it's actually not going to do that. Well, this one is, because I'm going to run it along the center channel of the house here. So this one would go out the side to the ceiling fan. Whew. That should do that. So let me add that. There. Now I have the holes for the Romex to come in and out. Now, for safety reasons, I should have a pinch here. There should be threading and a hole to apply a pinch to crimp and hold those wires so they can't be yanked out of the box and short. But I'm not going to do that. Hey, Maker Viking, how are you doing? So that's done. Now do I have anything hidden? No, nothing's hidden. I'm going to duplicate this, and then I'm going to hide it, because I need to take one of these apart. I don't need that. I just need this. And I don't even need this. I just need the two holes. There we go. So now I can delete all this. And I can take these, join them together. Now what I should do is I should save this as a component, but I'm too lazy. I'm not going to. We're gonna go all the way to 0. No reason. No, we're gonna leave one layer. So 0.4. Okay. And now we join that. And now I have two holes. And those holes will allow that to screw right into the box. So if we make that transparent, well, we don't want it to be that color. So you see now we have our unit that's going to fit right on top of there. It'll just sit inside this box, and there are two holes here so I can screw this in. And now I have my entry and exit. So here's input into the wire nut, split. One will go out to the next box down the chain, and then you choose which side of this you want the wire to come out to go to whatever you're connecting. This one does not need a 433 megahertz switch because these ceiling fans already have their own wireless control. If the fan was just on and off, I would probably change it to 433 megahertz just to unify the whole system, but this one also has controls for fan speed, which I actually do use. So I don't want to mess with that. Okay. Now I need a lid. Now I don't want to dick around with screws, so I'm going to make a slide lid. And I will show you how I'm going to do that in just a moment. Okay. So let's see here. Probably the easiest way to do that would be to duplicate this. What did you do? Duplicate. I hit the wrong button. No worries. And if there's anything you see me do that you want a more clear explanation of the how and why I'm doing it, just let me know. So break it up, break it up, break it up. There we go. What I need is this. So I take, no, don't do that. I need to take this and align it with this. Freeze, center, because I'm going to be chopping away a chunk of this, but I don't know how much yet. So, where's the lid? Where's my lid? Did I delete the lid? Yeah, I think I deleted the lid. It's okay, I can just copy one of these. Duplicate. I don't need the holes. Delete. This is 100 by 75. 100 by 75. Okay, so lid is 100 by 75. Let's see, the wall is going to be 2.4 millimeters thick, which means this needs to be 2.4 millimeter, 2.5 millimeters less than that. Let's see, how do I want to do this? I have to be careful. I have to do this correctly. Because if I do it wrong, it's not going to fit. You see, ideally, you'd want to print this box on its side. But that's going to be a pain in the butt. Let's see here. This might be small enough that I can get away with a dead overhang. So, the walls are 2.4 millimeters thick. That's 5 millimeters both ends. So if I use half of that, 2.4. 2.5. So 72.5. But the length is not going to be the same change. The length is going to be 1.25. So 98.75. Because it's going to completely eliminate one side, but only penetrate half of the other side. I'll show you what I mean in a minute. Okay. Now the question is, how much meat do I want? Let's see here. Take you and you. And align, freeze you in place. Give me that alignment there. You can go away for now. You should be aligned perfectly. How deep do I want to go? Actually, that needs to be centered. Why isn't that centering? There we go. That is probably enough meat there. Let's see, where am I at? Let's go 25. So that means we bring this back. We set this at 25 high. 25. That's wrong. I mean, that's just straight up wrong. Why did it do that? There we go. So we take this, and we join it with this, and we delete that entrance. So you can see what I did there. I created a slot in the front there. And now I need to slot this into this. How do I want to do that? Well, first I'm going to have to copy this, Control D, put you over here. This is part of why I didn't want it to be shaped that way. It's going to make this part of my job much more complex. Okay, so now I need to take this and do that. Let's hide that temporarily. Let's join this together. Bring it all back. So now we have a cut. There we go. That is going to cut the slot in. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make this 0.2 thicker. So 2.25. And now I'm also going to want to bevel this top edge here. The problem is beveling this edge down here is going to be really difficult. I think the correct way to do this is going to be to print it on the side in order to get this dimension correct. Let's go 2.435. Yeah, that's the correct way to do this is going to be to print it on the side. But if I print it on the side, this isn't going to print. So we cheat. Let's also make it shorter in this dimension. So I want to take 0.2 off. So 72.1. No. No. This has to be smaller. .25. 0.2. That has to be smaller. This has to be bigger. Tolerance. I always either add or subtract 0.2 for tolerance. This needs to be bigger in thickness and bigger in width to create the correct slot. Alright, now comes the fun part. I have to bevel it. Why are you doing that? Okay. Jesus Christ, go away. Alright, the initial bevel is pretty easy. We just do that. The problem is this corner is not going to like that. In fact, this corner is going to hate it. What I really need to do is get rid of the corner. That might mess up my tolerances a little bit. Alright, how big is this? We are going to make this 110. Okay. Okay, we don't want to use this anymore. We want to use this. Okay. Align with the corner. Excuse me. Don't mess with me. Okay, we are 72. So this needs to be 72. And this. Okay. That looks okay. Hey, Lightspeed. I'm making an electrical box. Okay. Let's see here. Align with you there. And now I need you to be 1.2 in. There we go. There. And that looks like it might be too much. Just a hair too much. Yes. Let's bring you down a bit. Join you again. Make you a pivot. There we go. That looks better. And now we join this with this. Alright, so the purpose of the pyramid is to eliminate the overhang. The problem that we have here is that, why didn't that join together? What did I do? It just didn't do it. Okay. So the purpose of this is for 3D printability. This 90 degree is fine because it's on the bottom. But I need this edge to not be a straight overhang like this, because you can't print this. I'd have to put support in here, and fuck that. Imagine trying to remove that support. It would take longer to print the support than it would take to print the whole box. So what I did is I put a bevel on the inside here. Now the only thing I have to check is how much did that... I think there's still enough space there. See, the problem with going with a straight edge instead of the curve radius is that it could make this corner too thin. But that looks like it should be okay. That looks like there's enough meat there that it should print that okay. And it's only for a couple of millimeters, so I think it'll be fine. Technically, you'd wanna bevel that edge a little bit, and I could do that, but I think it'll be fine. It's only the two corners, so it should be fine. And now this lid, let's make it not transparent. Oh yeah, keep it transparent. So now this lid will slide right into this slot. And let's all center align. There we go. I did not want you to do that. That was a dumbass thing to do. Oh, that's why. That one. So now you can see that lid will fit, and that lid is 0.25 millimeters smaller than the slot, so your tolerances should be okay. If you need to, you can even in the slicer you can make that lid a little bit narrower if you need it to be narrower, because elephant's foot could be an issue. But you can also take your deburring tool and clean up the edge if you have to. But now I don't need any tools. See, I can screw this piece here. I can screw that in down here on the ground. So I could be sitting here in this chair, take my printed box and screw this into it, and now it's done. Okay, I can just take that box, screw it into the ceiling, which I should put some screw holes in for the box, although I'm probably going to double stick tape it, but I probably should have some screw holes in there. Let's do 5 millimeter holes, 5 by 5. Let's make it smooth. These are going to be approximate, they don't need to be exact. I just want them far enough away that they're not going to give me a hard time. And here's another little trick. I'm going to make these 0.4 from the bottom, so they're not actually going to go all the way through. Oh really? That's pretty cool. Control D. 2 is plenty. So So I'm going to drop another one there. And then, let's see here. Let's hide this, join those two together. There we go. There we go. And now bring it all back. There we go. So there is our little nut unit on the inside. It gets screwed in. I go up on the ceiling. I put 2 screws through here. So why didn't I have the hole go all the way through? Well, that's so your first layer is solid. The screw is very easily going to punch right through. Now you see, that's worth charging for. Fusion 360 skills are definitely of value. The screw will very easily punch straight through that one layer of plastic, but having that one layer of plastic means your 3D printer doesn't have to print a little tiny circle here, which can cause that entire print to fail if you don't have a perfectly adhered plastic and a perfect first layer. So my first layer is going to have no corners and no holes, and there's no reason to. It's going to be one, just 3 perimeters and then fill. That's it. And now when it goes to print the holes, it's printing on top of plastic, so it's always going to print well. So for things like this, I don't let the holes penetrate all the way through. I leave one layer of plastic so that it just makes printing so much easier. Printing is just so much nicer and easier. You don't have to worry about boogers. You don't have to worry about it dragging the print off the bed. You don't have to worry about, it prints the outside and then it prints the 2 little holes and they don't stick properly because they're only 5 millimeters in diameter. It's so much nicer to have a solid first layer. And if you're going to have holes go all the way through, connect the holes. Let me show you. This is this little side trip. So let's say we're going to do this. And we have this unit here we're going to print, and we want to drop a hole through it. Okay? So let's say we're doing this. Now this is pretty big, so this is unlikely to fail. Let me make it transparent. So we're going to print this. Well, the problem is your first layer is this. It has to print the perimeter, and then it has to print the perimeter of this circle, and then it has to print the infill. Well, the problem you're going to see, especially if your printer is not perfectly tuned, if your first layer is not perfect, if the plastic's not sticking perfectly, when the nozzle prints these outer perimeters and then it jumps over here to print this, sometimes it oozes, or sometimes this doesn't stick because it's so tiny. So it gets this down, but then this doesn't stick, and then it gets dragged all over to places placing its infill. Well, there's a really neat little trick you can use to make that first layer one continuous extrusion. So instead of printing this, and then printing this, and then printing the fill, instead do all this as one continuous extrusion. That's easier than you think. You take a clear box like this, and you make that clear box 0.02 millimeters thick. And then you make that box the same height as one layer of your print. So I would print this with a 0.4 millimeter layer height with a 0.6 millimeter nozzle. So I'm going to make this 0.4 millimeters tall. And all I'm going to do, you would change these dimensions after you move them. But I'm just going to take this and put it right there. So now it's penetrated both of those pieces. Let me show you what that's going to do. So now you have your print with this little tiny slot connecting the 2 walls together. This is actually a vase mode trick. Now let me show you what that does in the slicer. The effect that has in the slicer is just, actually I can't. They fucking Simplify 3D changed it so that the license only applies to one PC now, not 2, and nobody's cracked version 5 yet. I'm waiting for somebody to crack version 5. But now when you go to 0.01, now when you print that first layer, that first perimeter includes both. So now instead of printing this perimeter and then printing this perimeter here, instead it's going to print this perimeter and then it's going to come in here and print this. And then come back out here and print that. But only for the first layer. So it's not going to mess up your infill and all that stuff. And you're barely going to see this. It's going to be this itty bitty line in the fill pattern of the print. But just doing that little thing right there will make that print so much better. Because now it's part of the print. I didn't do that on here because I have 4 holes. I have 2 holes here, which is no problem. I could put a line there, put a line there. But I'd also have to put a line here and a line here. So instead, I'm just going to make the first layer solid. Because I'm just going to punch a screw through that. First of all, this one doesn't need to go all the way through because the screw's not going to be long enough to go all the way through. The screw is going to be just a 5mm screw. So there's going to be a 2mm gap at the bottom. And that 5mm screw is just, or 6mm screw, is just going to hold this into the plastic. So that hole doesn't need to go all the way through. And this hole does need to go all the way through, but it's going to be a wood screw going into the wood of my ceiling here. So that pointy wood screw is going to punch right through that single layer of plastic, no problem. You won't even know it's there. You're going to stick it in the hole, just go zit, and you'll never even know the hole. You'll never even know the layer of plastic was there. So that just makes my first layer perfect. Which means even if you have a so-so printer with a so-so print surface, you have a much higher probability of success. If you need the hole to go all the way through, you just put that little slit in there. And now this is one continuous perimeter instead of 2 perimeters. And that just makes life a lot easier. That's also why I curve the corners, because curved corners are less likely to peel. Because what happens is if your extrusion and flow rate are not quite perfect, if your Z offset is not quite perfect, and if your adhesion to the print bed is not quite perfect, you've seen it happen. You draw something on the printer, and then the printer does, and then the perimeter does this, and it's like, fuck you, you motherfucker. And don't even try to push it back down because more will just peel off. It never works. So when you have a 90-degree corner like this, if any of those things I just described isn't quite perfect or quite right, what'll happen is when the nozzle changes directions, it's probably be easier if I made this bigger for you guys to see. I just realized. So when you have that corner like this, and that nozzle goes zit, zit, that is applying a torque. You're stopping here, and then you're going sideways. So you're scraping that little bit you already printed. If your flow rate's not quite right, you're dragging that little bit you printed. If your adhesion to the bed is not quite right. So just by taking this and turning it into a curve. So now the nozzle doesn't have to go, stop, change direction, go. Now it just goes around the curve. And so all the forces, the tension, the torque, the pulling, the adhesion, all that becomes less critical. A circle, you'll notice a circle tends to print and stay put a lot easier than a box does. And that's because of the sharp corners. That's why we'll put tabs. Let me show you that. So if you do, so if you do need to print something with sharp corners, you've got to have sharp corners. Well, you just take a tab like this. You make that tab the size of your first layer. Okay, it's actually going to be solid color. And then this one doesn't need to be that big, so let's do 12 by 12. And you take that tab, and you put that tab, and you just overlap your corner a little bit like that. Oh, come on. And you just have that tab overlap your corner a little bit more, about that much. You have the tab overlap the corner about that much. Now this tab is going to have a much better grip to your bed, and it's going to hold down that corner and keep it from peeling off. And what you would do is just, you'd duplicate that and you'd apply one of these. You can even do this in the slicer. God damn it, go away. That is so annoying. you'd put one of these on each corner, like that. They don't have to be perfect. They just have to overlap a little bit. You know, just make sure they over. You can even save this as a disk, as a separate STL file, and you can bring it into the slicer and do it in the slicer if you want, or you can build it into the model like I'm doing here. You just want a little bit of overlap like that. I call them hold down tabs. And now you just save that as part of the file. And now, because that's only one layer thick, after you're done printing that, you'll be able to literally grab that and just go tear it right off the print. You probably won't even need to use a deburring tool or anything like that. You should be able to just grab that and rip it right off. Or you could do what I did. And you could have the bottom be solid, and you could have the edges be curved, and that just makes it stick a lot better. This could still warp, this could still peel, but then you just add a brim. But the back to the box now. This is an overhang, but it's only 11 millimeters wide. Your 3D printer should have no problem bridging an 11 millimeter gap, so I'm not worried about that. This shape here is so that I don't have to print support. I don't want to have to print support, so now I don't have to. It's built right in. This might not be the strongest. This is only going to be 2 perimeters thick out here. And it might. Why is that not? Is that not centered? Why is that not centered? Did I just move it? That's not centered. How did that happen? Something's wrong. So this must not be centered. Nope. That was not centered. Derp. Okay. There we go. I don't know how that happened, but it did. Take those two and join it with that. And it's still not centered. See? It's still poking. It's too big. How is that possible? Did I scale it wrong? I probably scaled it wrong. Okay, so this is 72 millimeters. Oh, yeah, that is too big. This is 75 millimeters. So I made a point. So this needs to be smaller than 72. So 70 is 1 too much. Let's go 0.2. 71.2. Okay, select all 3 of those, center, and then take you 2, center, and then take all of you, but I don't want you, and I don't want you. Okay. There we go. Now we have our tolerance. So there's our tolerance, so that if we over extrude a tiny bit or have a little elephant's foot, it'll still fit. Now we have that tolerance on both sides. If the lid is too loose, either increase the flow rate or make it a tiny bit bigger in the slicer. Doesn't matter, either way is fine. If you really want a better fit for the lid, you could add a bevel to the top of the lid here to fit this. But I don't think I need to for this. This is just a box going up on top of the ceiling here. That lid just needs to fit tight enough not to fall out. And this way, if I need to mess with wiring, all I do is slide that lid off and do whatever I need to do, and I'm good to go. Now, something else I can do. Let me show you another neat little trick. Let's align on this. So there's the lid in the closed position. I could add a dimple to the lid itself. So if I want to do that, let's see, how do I want to do that? Probably be best just to do something like this. What I do is I align this with that, shrink it down to that, something like that. Oh, way too big, way too big. Something more like this, and then sink it in. Yeah. I can do something like that. Now, how big is that? 1.8, it's fine. Let's go 2. Okay. So now I can take something like that. Probably too big. I don't need to be that big. Center it. Take this and this, join it together, make it a different color, and now make it transparent. So now I have a little dimple on that lid. What I'll do is I'll actually install that lid the other way around. I'm going to print it in this orientation, but when I install it into the box, it'll actually be this way around. And that little dimple will push over this little wall here, and the little flex, it'll be fine. And that little dimple will make sure even if this is a little loose, it can't fall out. And you can even adjust how tight you want it to be by moving that dimple a little bit. But that's a simple way to add some passive positive retention to get it to stay put. And, but of course you'll print it this way. And that dimple will be on, otherwise, you know, you'd have support, which you don't want. Yeah, there you go. The box is done, the first box at least. So that, I'll print that piece, and I will print this piece. And that's it. Now, I do need to make a larger box for the 433 megahertz unit for the other lights. So I guess, yeah, I want them in the same box. It makes sense to have it all in the same box. And I'll do that later. This is the model I'll use. So I'll make the box bigger until this comfortably fits inside the box with it. Let's see, how do I want to do that? I'll figure out how I want to. Let me get rid of this. I don't need it. This is the duplicate. I don't need that. So there is, if all I need is this, which I will need 3 of for the 3 ceiling fans that have their own remote. So I'll need to print 3 of those. And then for light fixtures, I need to be able to fit this and this so that I don't have to wire switches. All I have to do is, you know, sync up one of these with one of these, and now I have a switch. And I have a whole stack of them now, so. I even got these cute little remotes. I don't see them out here either in the car, so I think. It looks like a key fob. It's got 4 buttons. And because you can program multiple remotes with each of these receivers. So, for example, I will program my little 4-way remote to control utility room, kitchen, living room, and bathroom. This way, if I lay down and I forgot to turn off one of the lights, fuck it, just grab that remote and go off, 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 and the lights will turn off. It'll just be so much easier that way. Yeah, good, I had it on the right thing so you guys were seeing all of that. So, time to get working on that. So, the next thing will be I'm going to print that box out. I'm going to make sure the screws fit correctly. Figure out what screws I'm going to use to mount. I have a whole mess of these little stainless screws. It's silly to use stainless screws in that application, but I have them and they're free, so I'll probably use those, or just repurpose. Like a whole bunch of these come with these screws, and there's 2 of them right there, and that's fine for screwing this little box into the ceiling. So I'll probably repurpose all these screws that these things come with, because every one of these boxes comes with screws. I should probably design these holes to work with those screws, but the problem is those screws are so long. I just don't need screws that long. So probably ebb 4s or ebb 3. Is it going to be ebb 3? M3. It's a 3.6 millimeter hole, so I'll probably just get a mess of M3x5 machine screws and keep it just super simple. And then the 2 Phillips screws to screw the box into the ceiling. And these will all be held in with machine screws to hold them in place. I also need to design wall plates for these. So something that'll go over top. I don't want to remove my existing switches. So I'm going to use, I have a zillion of these. The little 2-cap ones. Oh, God. So I'm going to use these as wire caps to cap off the existing wiring in the house. So since I'm not using the existing wiring in the house, this way, if I ever get a new house or whatever, or need to change something, the existing switches and wiring will still be there, will still be ready for whoever wants to use it. Whoever gets the house next or whatever when I die, whatever. But just cap them off and then forget about them. And then design a 3D printed cover that will actually just cover up the existing switch plate. This way it's out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. And then there'll be sockets that these will fit in. I like these because I like the round switches. It's kind of nice. It also lights up. I think they all do that. But the nice thing about these is they run off of 3 volts or 6 volts. Which means I can run these off of 2 or 4 AA batteries. So the idea is that I'll have a junction box in the wall behind this that'll have 4 AA batteries in it. This way, instead of having to, because what's going to happen is these batteries are going to die. And I'm going to have to go around the house and change all of these batteries. Not that expensive. You could buy 2016s, 2032s pretty cheap on Amazon and eBay and whatnot. But it's a hassle. If I got 20 of these, that's 40 batteries I got to change every, 2 or 3 years. If I put 4 AA batteries in there, I'll die before the batteries die. I will no longer be of this earth by the time those batteries die. So, and they'll be cheaper. So that's probably what I'm going to do is to run them off AA's. And I can't do that with these. Like this one I can, because this one takes button cells. So that takes a 2032 or 2045 or whatever is supposed to go in there. There's no instructions, so I don't know. I'm going to have to find out what goes in there. But for example, this one, which is most of what I got, I didn't realize there was this difference. These, on the other hand, do not have that battery slot. And that's because these are a pain in the ass. Oh no, this one takes a button cell. Oh, nice. This one takes a button cell. But a lot of these take a A23 12-volt cell. Oh, nice. This takes a button cell. And once again, it does not tell me what it takes. It's either a 2045 or a stack of 2016s. It's probably 6 volts. Because I'd rather use these. These are nice and big. They're, it's easy to just slap that switch coming in, not have to fight with these. I like these big switches. It's nice to have that nice big switch. But, okay, so this one takes button cells. Interesting. So not all of these take the 12 volts. It looks like the ones in this packaging are the 3 volt, 6 volts, probably 6 volts. I think it's 6 volts. While the ones in this packaging, I think these are the 12 volt ones. Let's find out. I'm pretty sure I already checked. And some more screws and double stick tape. What does this one take? Yeah, this one takes the A23. So it's like what's in your garage remote. It's a little. It looks like a little like a half of a AAA, but it's actually 12 volts. It's actually button cells inside there. Oh, wait a minute. What the hell? Are you serious? It's got 3 buttons. You know, some of these I ordered were supposed to be triple gang. They were supposed to have 3 buttons. 1, 2, 3. How many buttons does that have? It's got 1. Why is this always doing top chat? I hate when it does that. This one's got 1 button, but it's got 3 switches inside. Come on. What the hell? What's wrong? But it's got 3 switches inside. I bet you that's actually a 3-way switch. And they just put a single gang cover on it. I mean, I guess that makes sense from their perspective. It's easier to make 1 board. But how do you handle 2? I guess you would just use the outside 2 if you had a 2-way. So you'd use this one and not use the middle one. And when you have a single, you just use the middle one. I guess that makes sense. It would be cheaper for them to just do that. Now the cool thing is if you want to make your own wacky custom switches, that's pretty easy to do. That's just a circuit board. It's probably just glued in. Is it even held down? Looks like tabs? Or is that just literally tabbed in there? Is there anything holding it in? I don't think there's anything holding it in. No. So you could remove, you could add this to any project you want. That's cool as hell. Huh. Okay, that's pretty cool. If you want to dick around with projects, that's definitely something you could very easily do. Come on. Don't be a dick. Boy, that's a real... How do you get that back in there? Oh, there it goes. I think. There it goes. You gotta bend it. Okay. That's interesting. Huh. That's pretty ingenious, actually. Okay, that's pretty cool. I wonder if they're all like that. I don't think so. I think I only saw 1 switch in the other one. Let's find out. Yeah, this one's only got 1. So definitely a double stack of batteries. There's no way in hell. How are you supposed to get both batteries in there? It's not thick enough. What? Oh, it just holds it in there. So is this designed to run off 1 battery? Like this can power by 3 volts? Now this one's different. This one has the positions for the other two buttons, but the buttons aren't actually there. Just the center one has a button. Huh. Oh, and this covers the whole thing. Well, that's interesting. Well, isn't that interesting? Huh. Well, I'll have to play with that. Interesting to see some of the shortcuts these manufacturers take when they make things like this. You know, the little things they do to save money. I wonder what the inside of this looks like. This one's even smaller. I'm pretty sure this opens up the same way. Just pry it open. Okay, so this one has 2 screws. That's where the battery goes. It has a battery already in there. Is it a double stack? I think it is a double stack of batteries. So that's got your battery thing in there. Yeah, there's a battery in there. So you'd have to take these 2 screws out and then you can access the board. Isn't that interesting? Huh. Very interesting. Alrighty. I'm going to start printing some of these boxes. I was going to wait to use some... because I want to use atomic filament, but I got a whole bunch of white from Quinoette. So I'll probably just use that filament. And it's already loaded on the printer. So I'm going to get a couple of these boxes printed tonight. See how the M35 screws fit. Make sure everything fits right. Yeah, see, today it's not being such a pain in the butt. Why did it stop bothering me today? I don't know. I have no idea. It's still not right because I can still feel the gooiness where my tears are thick like syrup instead of thin like they're supposed to be. But I'll keep using this stuff to keep flushing it out. At least this stuff isn't too expensive. It's not too bad of price. Alright, I will see you guys next week. I'm going to try to make a more concentrated video of making the box for Sunday so people don't have to watch a multi-hour stream to get the information for how to make simple boxes like this. And maybe I'll print it in clear so you can see inside. That'd be kind of cool. That's it. I'll see you guys later. You guys have a great day. Oh, I do have a request. If any of you guys are willing, I'll pay for it. If you find it cheap enough. They have these pie makers, and for some reason, I don't know why, they're selling for a ridiculous price that just doesn't make any sense. These things should be like $9, and for some reason, this particular model is selling for $30 for some reason. I think they stopped making it. Well, that one is down to $25. Do they have any used ones? No. But it's this thing here. Mini Pie Maker. From Dash. So it's an itty bitty little, one of those little mini appliances that makes mini pies. You can also make breakfast quiches, but I don't want to pay $25. That's a lot of money. I'm especially interested in the orange one if anybody could find it. But they also have another one that I want. Nope. Seriously? You're not going to autocomplete? There you go. They also, like, here's the orange one, but they want this, like, it's $12.50. Oh, great price, right? Yeah, $20 shipping. Yeah, I don't think so. But they also have this kind here. Not, this is a stupidly expensive one, but they have, like, this one here, the Wolfgang Puck one. So they have this one here. See how it's got 2 slots? The one slot is great when you want to experiment with something. The 2 slot is great when you want to make for 2 people, like me and Michelle. But what I'm hoping you guys might be willing to do is to go to Facebook or Craigslist, depending on whatever's popular in your area, and go to Marketplace. So if you go into Marketplace, there's nothing near me because of where I live. You know, there's just nothing here. And then just type in pie maker. And see if something, you can see I got a waffle maker. Oh, it's actually a waffle maker here in Edgewood. But I already have really nice waffle makers. I have one like this. Commercial one. But, you know, check in your local Marketplace or Craigslist, and you might even find one for free. But if anybody's willing to look around and see if you can find me any of those waffle makers, I'm looking for the Wolfgang Puck one. That's the 2, so it has the 2 pie slots, and I'm looking for the Dash Mini. Like this, the Dash Mini. If you guys, if you're willing, check your Marketplace, check your Craigslist, and see if there's any available, like, really close to you, or, you know, you can meet someone around the corner if you're willing. And if you can get it for like $10, and then, you know, ship it for $5 or $6, I'll pay. I don't mind paying for it. Just let me know, and I'll pay you the money. But I'm trying to get those pie makers. I have a 9-inch one. I have a Curtis Stone 9-inch pie maker, but that's for making a full-size pie. You know, for just making a little chicken pot pie or turkey pot pie or a shepherd's pie or an egg quiche or a little cherry pie, apple pie kind of thing, the 9-inch is too big. You know, it's, even for Michelle and I, a 9-inch pie is too big outside of the holidays. You know, if I made one 9-inch and cut it in half, that's a lot of food for each of us. Plus, these are better on power. So if I start running things off of batteries, you're going to want to run the smallest unit you can to reduce how much power you're consuming. I think the little one's like 350 watts, and then the big one's like 700 or 800 watts, and then of course the Curtis 9-inch is like 1100 watts. But yeah, if you happen to see it, you know, yard sale or Marketplace or something like that, you know, I'd love to get a hold of one of the Wolfgang Puck dual ones and one of the Dash Mini single ones. If you keep an eye out for that, I appreciate it. No big deal. I'll eventually find one. I will see you guys later. I'll see you next week. I'm surprised how good my eyes are feeling. I'm really hoping that maybe this antibiotic stuff is working. Maybe I'll get some sleep tonight. I really need some sleep really badly. So I will see you guys later.